we were actually, for the last 3 months, from September, we were testing a digital system that was to be used for the nomination exercise. But unfortunately, we never got any political buy-in because politicians want to see papers flow. And so therefore, unfortunately for this nomination exercise, we will not be able to roll out our digital platform for the nomination exercise. But that said, TNA Jubilee, we are conducting joint nominations. I was personally involved in litigation emanating from the Kajiado by-election and the Kangema by-election, and we had invaluable lessons of how a process can go wrong. Our process was far much better than whatever you saw on television from other political parties. We have no sacred cows. The Jubilee Coalition has actually anchored internal dispute resolution mechanism, whereby we have established a county dispute resolution mechanism, a county dispute resolution tribunal, where all disputes will actually first instance be referred to the county dispute resolution tribunal. After the county dispute resolution tribunal, which must deliver the ruling within 24 hours of actually the dispute. In case of anyone being uncomfortable with the ruling, the verdict of the county dispute resolution tribunal, the same is referred to the national dispute resolution tribunal, and whereby we've been able to draw talent from actually the larger East African legal market. We've been able to get professional people of great repute and standing in the legal profession in dispute resolution. We'll be leading the coalition in solving the dispute that emanates from the nomination exercise. The tragedy we're faced with as a political party and as a coalition largely is the fact that our political party act has been greatly mutilated. We had a cut-off date of that of 4th of January to be the cut-off date by which a member of a political party, actually the political party is supposed to present its roll of members to the registrar of political parties. We as actually TNA pride ourselves to be the party that has the highest membership in this republic. We have today it's the 3 million mark. Our closest rival is at 600,000 members. Certainly there is a debate as to whether the role is actually a true representation of the people. But that said is that our nomination exercise will be conducted by the members of our political party, benchmarked on the IBC roll of members. Just like when there's a joint venture between companies, let's say East African breweries and Tanzania breweries, certainly Tanzania breweries would have a larger market share than Kenyan breweries, for example. So in the same nature of corporate entities where one entity has perhaps a greater market share than the other, and the two companies decide to get into a joint venture or even a merger, then you realize that the customer base of these two entities merged together. In that regard, therefore, the membership that we have is the membership that is representative of the three political parties. If you're 3 million, the other guys are 600,000 members. We cannot simply roll over and die. That is the base, that's the membership base of the coalition, and those are the people that will be used to participate in the nomination exercise.
Two things that I would like to say about 207, just to be able to lay the basis for some of the things that I'll say after that. One of the things that we recall is that after 207, we had a diagnosis of what went wrong and perhaps some prescriptions on how we can move forward with our electoral process, particularly issues relating to how political parties interface with elections. One of the things you recall, which Justice Scribbler told us, is that the environment that we had was so defective that it could not deliver for us any good elections at all. But what was important is that the culture that we had was the culture of lawlessness that made it difficult to regulate or provide for fair competition. That is the institution of political parties. And I think it is fair to say that we are approaching the 2013 elections with a fair degree of lawlessness still existing in the structure of political parties and in the way political parties behave and mobilize. And assuming that they will use the National Register of Voters, as we have had, then there are also questions, because we have a provisional Register of Voters, which is currently being subjected to verification by citizens. And it's only after this that we will have an authenticated Register of Voters, and that will come 14 days from now. So you cannot tell us that you are ready for nominations when your registers are fraudulent, and two, you are looking at a register that is not foolproof yet. We have constitutions that have not been subjected to public scrutiny. And therefore, the potential for conflict, is it the party constitution, is it the election rules, or is it the coalition agreements that will determine the manner in which parties conduct their elections this week? And are those matters that have been dealt with? In my view, I think we are getting into party primaries, party nominations, when parties are not prepared. The internal mechanisms that parties can use to resolve disputes that arise out of the nomination process, then the jurisdiction of the tribunal, the jurisdiction of the registrar, the jurisdiction of the IEBC, and those of the courts. But I know he normally deals with that very adequately. I will not focus on that. 2013, these coming elections in March. The fact of the matter is that it will be like no other. The fact of the matter is also that it will be an election of high political stakes. The fact of the matter is also that it will be very heavily commercialized.
I think what we need to understand is initially the drafters of the IEBC Act, Elections Act, Political Parties Act, had these issues in mind when they gave the original timelines. Those timelines were passed initially by Parliament, but as we drew nearer, they went and made amendments that removed those timelines and got us into the situation we are in now. Now, what are those timelines? It is that by the 18th, this is this coming week, all parties should have conducted their nominations. That's critical, a critical date for the 18th. That's why you see everybody conducting on the 17th. There was, nothing had stopped political parties from conducting nominations beginning of this month, last month, or the month before. And they made internal decisions to do it on the 17th. Thereafter, the IEBC has now given its dates as the 29th for the submission of nomination papers for presidential, and the others between the 31st and the 1st of January and the 1st of February. So that the time the nominations are going to end, I presume, around 6 o'clock on the 17th, plus minus in the evening. And from that time, there will perhaps be counting in progress. So from early on the 18th, early hours of the 18th, until the end of the day on the 18th, results will be known, and those who are unhappy will perhaps either jump ship, because they can't jump ship on that 18th. They'll perhaps take out other certificates from that they've been hiding and use them. So some conflicts right there will be resolved. And number two, those that are not resolved, for instance, and I'll take the example of TNA because their representative is here and confirm the position, will then engage the party dispute resolution mechanism from, say, 19th, effectively on the 19th. If you take TNA as an example, because they are here, the county panel will then hear a dispute, assume it's well prepared in time, expeditiously, on the 19th. And we'll have to give a decision within 24 hours. That is by the 20th. Now, if they're not satisfied with that dispute, assume again they work extremely hard, they will file an appeal on the 21st with their national appellate body, which, if it works very well, and I'm sure it will work very well, will then make a decision perhaps within another 24 hours. So that takes us to 22nd. So it has eaten up that period of time as fast as it can possibly be. Now, from the 22nd, you have 7 days within which now to either come to the tribunal or, as may be released later on, and this is another issue of discussion, the IEBC is setting up some sort of panels in the counties that are going to offer themselves to resolve disputes. So I can only speak for the tribunal. From the 22nd is the earliest date we would expect a dispute from the nominations of TMA, say on the morning of the 23rd. If they come on the morning of the 23rd, the tribunal is not going to compromise the value or the quality of its decisions at the altar of expeditiousness, because that time has not been, that situation has not been created by us. It's been created by the politicians themselves, the members of parliament themselves. But of course, we are under an obligation to do the best that we can. And our position is that whatever comes before us, we shall deal with it as expeditiously as is humanly possible. My personal position is this: the deadlines, the election timelines that have been put in place are not negotiable. We must have elections on the 4th of March. I don't think we can play around with that at all. And we must facilitate and assist the IEBC to make that a reality. Everything in the country now is focused on the 4th of March. That includes being able to fulfill the timelines for printing ballot papers and so forth. Now, I will give you an example. A litigant comes to the tribunal and says, we want you to stop the IEBC from accepting the nomination of Maxland County. And we shall give that order. But the IEBC train has left the station. It will continue. The person who is going to be disadvantaged from that order is not only your party by missing a nomination in that particular constituency, but you yourself, because if you win that case, you can't present your nomination papers. You understand me? So, yes, we would be able to do it, but you would be the loser and your party would be a loser in the end, unless you're doing it for mischief value.
What we've put in place is that our requirements for compliance for candidates are actually in line with the IEBC requirements. We've actually gone overboard to make sure that some of the requirements actually we have we have very stringent requirements for candidates for compliance purposes to ensure that our candidates are fully compliant with the letter and the spirit of the law as it is, in the line with the requirements that are required by the IEBC for candidates to be cleared. We are the legal obligation pursuant to the Elections Act to ensure that we nominate only candidates that qualify. Otherwise, nominating unqualified candidates will actually be tantamount to a political suicide on our side, because we'll be barred from presenting a candidate in that political seat, and later on actually even in the next election. Even a presidential candidate can actually be barred from contesting on the basis of the political party nominating candidates that are unqualified in line with the Elections Act.
Is there any of the candidates who have shown interest that you have barred from participating in the nomination exercise?
Yes, we have actually nominated. We have actually drawn out in excess of 10 applications. I'm not unfortunately allowed to divulge the names of the candidates because of the advocate-client confidentiality I hold with my client, the National Alliance, the Jubilee Coalition. It actually tells you that ours has been an underground movement that has been so systematic in trying to recruit members, and we pride ourselves to be the largest political party in the history of this country and the history of East and Central Africa, any regard to any political party in regard to membership. Today, we pride ourselves to have enlisted 3 million willing members in this republic, spread across the country, that are so passionate about our cause. I would just like to confirm that we have not done any zoning in this republic. What actually we are conducting is that we are conducting joint nominations.
Speak romantically and in a poeticized manner about his party. You may think TNA is the best thing that has ever been to this country since we've been bred. But anyway, that's why I said romantically. Then the next day when I wake up and read Waititu complaining that there are evil forces in the party who want to chase him out, I get a bit disturbed. There's one definition that I've always loved so much, the one that Napoleon used. Napoleon said this, that a leader should be a dealer of hope. You see, a dealer of hope, there's no universal definition of a dealer of hope. Or do any of you know a universal definition of a dealer of hope? And that is why you see sometimes when an MP goes punching a metal grid, he has supporters and he's being cheered on. And guys are like, man, bring it on. You know, you see the same MP throwing stones somewhere and he has supporters and he's being cheered. Meaning to them, that is the dealer of hope.